placed in the story. Right, so all right. So can everyone agree, right, that this was the last part of the question we did in the last session? And could you all remind me of how, look at part G. Could you all remind me, right, how much money we made selling the cactus? Not the profit. I just want to know how much money we made after selling all the cacti. Send the answer on the chat. Just refresh my memory there. Right, Jeremy, Jordan, correct. You sure, Javon? Check it back, check it back. No, we're looking at part G, Javon. Look back at it, look back at it. Refresh your memory, right? When we sold all the cacti, we got $8,000. And that's how much money we made selling. All right. Oh, okay. I understand. That's not one. 1 second. We just pause something. Right. So let me clear it up. So remember in this part of the question over here, right? When we took the loan last week, when we had to pay back the loan, we owed the bank 7,400, right? So that's how much we owed the bank. Then we decided, all right, we're going to sell the cacti. And when we sold the cacti, we made $8,000, which means we made a profit of how much? $600. So that's why everybody's sending me different answers. So just to clarify, when I had asked how much money we made, right? I'm asking how much money we made after selling all the cacti. So I'm looking at the $8,000. We didn't calculate the profit as yet, right? So it's partially my fault because I wasn't very specific about which value I wanted. So just notice we are working with the $8,000. So keep that, right? So let's continue with the rest of the story here. Right. So as you all remember, the alien has to get gas for his spaceship, right? But this blue alien is in his way and isn't allowing him to pass to collect, well, the gas. So the alien pulls out his gun, aims it at the evil monster. And so apparently this monster has impenetrable thick skin or something like that. Right. All right. So I want everyone to try this particular question, right? Take a 2 minutes, see what you come up with. There are going to be some words in it that you may not be too familiar with, right? But take a shot. All right. So let's assume, right, since most people don't know what an allowance is, let's pretend just for the time being that this question, right, let's say the allowance was not mentioned. So let's see if we could do this question without an allowance. So how would we proceed with this question? So the government has just heard that you made $8,000, right? Forget whether it's profit or whatnot. All you know is after you sell all the cactus, you made 8,000, and now the government has come to collect their portion, their tax. Now, obviously, if the government tax you, you will be left with less money. That makes sense, right? Because the government is taking piece and you are being left with less. The tax is 45%. So let's see what we have here. We're going to have percentage Oh, sorry, there are two ways to do this question. Let's do it the normal primary school way. Tell me what you all think about this plan. To figure out how much you are left with, we should find 45% of 8,000 and then minus it from 8,000. What do you think about that plan, the verbal plan that I just told you? Since the government is taking 45%, we're going to minus 45% from the 8,000. So this is how you would normally do it in school, right? In primary school. You're going to find 45%, so that's 45 over 100, and then multiply it by 8,000. Right now, we are calculating the tax. This is how much the government is planning to take from you. Could you all work out this piece for me at least? So let's at least get the tax, how much the government is taking. And they said they are taking 45%, right? Right. And a lot of people are sending this answer. You're getting 3,600. So that is how much tax the government is taking. Now remember, we're not talking about an allowance as yet, because we don't know what is an allowance. All right, guys, you can excuse me for 1 minute. I just have to take a phone. Right. So like I said, you all don't know what an allowance is. So if there's no allowance, how much money will you be left with? How much are you left with? Well, remember, you had $8,000 and then the government took away $3,600 because that was their tax. And when you do that, right, we'll get how much? 8,000 minus 3,600, right? You're all going to get $4,400. Fine, that answer would be correct if there was no mention about anything called an allowance. Great. But you all notice that when the government was taxing you, you found 45% of the entire money, the entire 8,000. It's almost like the government had access to tax all your money. In real life, it's not actually so. The government doesn't have access to tax all your money. They have something called an allowance, something to protect you, something to help you. And let me explain how that works now. So I'm going to clear that. You just made $8,000. And the government has just come up and say, hey, we're going to tax you. But you tell them, whoa, hold up. I have an allowance of 6,000. So what the government will do, it will break up the 8,000 into two pieces. The first piece is the $6,000. And how much is left? Obviously, you need 2,000 to make it 8,000. So the government breaks up the 8,000 into two pieces. You see the allowance, that's Mr. 6,000. The government cannot touch that. An allowance is a good thing. It protects you, right? The only thing the government could tax is the remaining amount, the $2,000. So you see that 45%, the government can only tax 45%. So what you need to do is find 45% of 2,000 and minus it from the 2,000, because that's the only number, that's the only amount of money the government can touch or have access to. You think you all can do that for me? Find 45% of 2,000, right? And minus it from the 2,000. So We're calculating the new tax now. How much can the government take? Right. So when you find 45% of 2,000, right, you're going to get $900. All right. But that is how much the government is taking. How much are you left with? It will be the 2,000 minus the 900, and you're going to get $1,100, right? So here's what. After the government tax the 2,000, you are left with $1,100. So how much money do you have in total? Remember, the 6,000 was protected. That was your money. And now, after taxation, you're left with 1,100. So the amount you are left with, right? The final answer, you have to add the 6,000 and the 1,100. So you get 7,100. All right, so I hope you all understood that. But I want to show you all a different way, or refresh your memory on a different way of getting the 1,100. In the harder way, in my opinion, is to do what? Find 45% of the 2,000 and then minus it from the 2,000. Because that, to me, that's too much work. How I usually like to do this question, and I showed you all a few months ago, actually. I'm going to refresh your memory. We're going to work with percentage and money. The original amount of money that you're dealing with, like before the taxation, is always 100%. So 100% represents $2,000. If the government takes 45%, how much percentage would you be left with? If the total amount of percentage, the beginning percentage is at 100, if somebody takes away 45, how much are you left with? Because that's what we're trying to find. How much you are left with after taxation. Won't it be 55%, right? It's just 100 minus 45. Now that amount you are left with, that percentage you are left with, is worth a certain amount of money. We can cross multiply to find that certain amount now. So let's do that. 100 by x is 100x. And 2,000 by 55 is how much? 1 with 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros. This 100 is a multiply. Throw it across. You're going to get a divide. And when we solve for x, look at it. We get back the 1,100. Right? So you have two ways on how to get that 1,100. And then you add it back to the 6,000 to get the same answer as before. Right? So let me know when you finish with everything on the screen, and we'll move on with today's class. Let's see what's going on with this alien. Remember, his gun isn't going to hurt him. So the alien has to come up with a different plan. All right, so his plan apparently is to fight him with vegetables because, you know, the alien doesn't like vegetables. So we'll see how that goes up there. All right, so here's a brand new question now, right? Brand new. Write down the question, right? So I've given you enough time, right? Write down the question and then start the question. So I've given you 5 minutes to at least write it down and come up with something. Question. All right, so option 1 is pretty simple. You just straight up pay $25,000, straight up. But option 2, right? You have to make a down payment of $4,000. So you pay 4,000 first, right? So you give the person who is selling it 4,000. But then for every month after that, for the next 4 years, 4 years is how much months? 12 by 4, which is 48 months. For each of those 48 months, you have to pay $600. So what you're going to do, you're going to have to take this 48 and multiply it by 600. Because every month, according to the agreement there, you have to pay 600. So it's 48 multiplied by 600. So you're going to end up paying 28800. How much people actually saw this value in their working? Like you have this number somewhere in your working, right? And a lot of people are saying yes. But remember, this is not the total amount you paid. You can't forget that you gave the person 4,000. You can't forget that. So how much is the total you paid? The 4,000 plus the 28,800. And when you add up those two, right? When you add up these two, you're going to get this amount of money. $32,800. So well, when you look at option 2, look at how much money you end up paying. In the long run, you end up paying way more. Option 1 was only $25,000, but option 2 is $32,800. So to me, option 1 is the better option. All right? Option 1 is the better option. Now, the next part is pretty easy, right? They want you to express the extra amount you paid as a percentage, but you're using the cash price as your denominator. So how much extra did you end up paying between the two options? You have to minus the two values, obviously, right? So for this one, you have to say 32,800, you minus the 25,000. That will tell you how much the difference between the two prices, in other words. How much is the difference there? That's now 32,800 minus 25. We're going to get right. So the difference in price is 7,800. But they want you to express this difference as a percentage. They told you as a percentage of the cash price. Huh? So that means 25,000 goes underneath. That's their nice way of saying, hey, the 25,000 goes underneath. And to convert it to a percentage, you multiply by 100%. And when you do that, send your final answer. When you work this out, tell me how much you get on your calculator, right? So is that coming up? And when you work this out, your final answer is roughly, well, not roughly, exactly 31.2%. Let's move on, right? Right. So I'm just stressing again, this is basically no different from an SEA question that comes in CXC, right? Or in high school. Move on. All right, so let's see why this alien pulled out what he's going to do with these vegetables, right? Remember, the alien doesn't, certainly monster doesn't like vegetables because he's a carnivore, right? He starts to pelt him with the vegetables. All right, so I guess he defeats the little alien there. Not the alien, I'm calling him the alien. He's a monster. So, okay. All right, so here we have a question based on, well, a pizza, right? Last week, I gave you all the formulas on how to find the area of a circle. And I said we were going to use for the area of a circle, right? I would prefer if you use this formula. It's pi multiplied by radius squared. But I don't want you pressing the pi button on your calculator. Remember, pi is the same thing as what? 22 over 7. I would prefer if you physically type in 22 over 7 rather than press the pi button on the calculator. All right, if everyone physically types in 22 divided by 7, we will all get the same answers today. All right, but anyway, I don't want to give away too much with the question because last week I showed you how to find the area of a circle, the circumference of a circle, and part C, well, he's going to be trouble. But take a 5 minutes and see what you come up with. So to find the area, it's pi multiplied by radius squared. Now, I think a few people forgot the squared by the r. It's r squared. So let's put this in perspective. 22 over 7 multiplied by, what's the value of the radius? And I think I catch a few people with this. How much is the radius in this question? How much is the radius? Right. A lot of people are thinking that the radius is 28. But this 28, if you look at it, it's going from one side to the other side of the circle, right? This 28 is actually the diameter. Now, diameter and radius are not the same thing. They are completely different. And last week, I made sure and specified the difference between the diameter and a radius. The radius is the smaller one. The diameter is the big one. In fact, the diameter is be twice the radius. So that means, and remember the radius goes from the center of the circle. There's some different color here. From the center of the circle to the circumference. So how much is the radius? The radius, that's spelled radius wrong there. Radius is the diameter divided by 2, which is 14, right? So you're supposed to put 14 here, but don't forget to square it. Now, squaring is not the same thing as multiplying by 2, all right? So I'm really asking everyone not to mix that up. There's a squared button on the calculator, or if you can't find the squared button on the calculator, not a problem. And squared means to multiply by itself. So you could say 14 multiplied by our next 14. Type in this exact thing on your calculator. I notice some of you are pressing the pi button. Remember, I'm requesting that you all do not press the pi button. Physically type in 22 over 7. You will get a slightly different answer. The pi button and typing in 22 over 7 is give you slightly different answers. All right, so Soraya, type in 22 divided by 7, multiplied by 14, and then multiplied by a next 14 straight on your calculator. And you'll get a really nice answer. Make sure, well, for those who didn't submit, right, Elizabeth Utley, correct now. Right. So give everybody a little chance to, send in something. For those who didn't send in an answer. When we do this, we're going to get how much? 616, and you have to put centimeters squared because area is measured in units squared, right? If you forget that squared, you're going to lose some marks in the exam. All right, so the next part of the question, we're going to calculate the circumference. Remember, the circumference is the distance around the circle. So to calculate circumference, or you see, it's pi multiplied by diameter, or you could say 2 multiply by pi multiply by radius. Now, I'm going to write it exactly how I had it last week. Last week, instead of saying pi multiply by diameter, like I always do, I prefer pi as 22 over 7. And in this one too, 2 multiplied by pi, any one of these answers will give you any one of these formulas will give you the same answer, right? So 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by the radius. And I will prove to you anyone will give you the same one. If we use the first formula, the diameter is 28. If you use the second formula, we know the radius is how much? 14. Type in both of them on the calculator, and I bet you'll end up with 88 centimeters. Any one of them will give you 88 centimeters. But try both of them, right, to prove that, that both formulas give you the same answer. Right. We'll see there, we'll see if what you did was correct just now. For part C, they want the perimeter of one slice. So let's extract one slice. So you decide to take one slice of the pizza. So this is how a slice of pizza looks. The perimeter is the distance around this yellow slice. So you pretend you're running around the slice. Quickly, how much slices do we have in the pizza? How much slices did we get? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 8 slices in the pizza. So we're going to use a little bit of common sense here. The circumference of the pizza, like if you run around this entire pizza, wasn't the circumference 88 centimeters? That's the total distance around it. So how much will be the distance of one of the slices, one of the curved part of the slices? It's a simple division question. The whole thing is 88, and you have 8 slices. So each curved part is 11 centimeters, all right? So that means, let me get a different color. That means from here all the way to here is 11 centimeters. But is that the final answer? Because if you're running around the slice, doesn't the slice have 2 straight lines here? Isn't each straight line a radius? From the center of the circle to the circumference is a radius. How much is the radius again? It's the diameter divided by 2. So it's 14. So that means from here to here is 14. And from here to here is also 14. Add up all the distances and you will get the total perimeter now. So it's 11 plus 14 plus another 14. Right? Simple stuff. Right? Right? And make sure you see this on the calculator. 39 centimeters. And it's regular boring centimeters because perimeter is a length, a regular boring length. Let me know when you're finished with everything on that stuff here. I love it. So the only difference here with this one, right, is the information given. I gave you the radius in this one. So to find area, right, what we're going to have to do is say pi, which is 22 over 7, multiplied by radius squared, which is 22 over 7 multiplied by 7 squared. And when we work this out, number 7 squared is 49, or 7 multiplied by another 7. So we're going to get 154 centimeters squared. Right now, a lot of people sent that answer, didn't have a problem there. The next part of the question, the circumference, it's pi multiplied by diameter or pi, 2 multiplied by pi multiplied by radius. And like I said, I would prefer if you use pi as physically typing in 22 over 7. All right. So with this one here, if you use the first formula, the diameter would not be 7. The diameter would actually be what? 14, because the diameter is twice the radius. And in the second formula, well, you could use the radius as 7. In both cases, you're going to get what? It doesn't matter. You'll get 44 centimeters for either one. Okay. Right. For the last one, the slice, right? I'm going to give you at least a half a minute for those who didn't submit answers. They want the perimeter of the slice. You're going to have to use the circumference, the answer for the circumference, to get that out, because the circumference is the total distance around it, and that's 44 centimeters, right? So the total distance around is 44, and we have 8 slices. So to get the curved distance of one of the slices, just one of the slices, we have to take the 48 and divide it by what? 8. Sorry, 44 and divided by 8. 44 divided by 8 is what? 5.5. So that means one of the curved distances is 5.5. And we know the distance of each radius is 7. So here's 7 and here's 7. So if we add up all the distances, 5.5 plus 7 and 7, you're going to get 19.5 centimeters for the perimeter. Let's see what's happening with this alien here. Right, so right, so he defeats the alien and he went and collect the gas tank, but it seems that the gas tank is empty, right? So after all of that hard work, defeating a monster, transporting to that part of Trinidad, they have an empty gas tank. So I guess he's going to have to find a way to fill up this gas tank. So I guess his journey, the adventure will continue or whatnot. All right, so let me explain what's going on with this particular question. The pizza, we left it outside, and then a rat came and he ate the inside of the pizza. So you all see a piece of the pizza is missing there. Will the area of that pizza be more or less now? Remember, in the original question, it was 28, right? Now, right, and it has to be less. So when you hear less, do you think of adding or do you think of minusing? Let me just say we had to choose one. Adding or minusing? Which one would you prefer? Minus, right? So let me give you a little advice on how to do this particular question. If you look at it, there's a big pizza, the big part of the pizza going around. And then there's a piece missing. So it has 2 circles, a big circle and a small circle. Won't it make sense to find the areas of both circles and minus it? Because when you find the areas of both circles and minus it, you'll be left with the edible part of the pizza. Does that make sense? It has 2 circles. Find the area of both circles and minus it. Find the area of the big circle, find the area of the small circle and minus, right? Now there's a small trick in the question, right? And the small trick is this: don't mix up diameter. Do not mix up diameter with radius, okay? For the small circle, I give you the radius. This is definitely the radius. So that 9 is a radius. But remember, for the big circle, that 28 is the diameter. So for the big circle, the radius is not 28. The radius would be 14. Okay? All right. So we're going to take the area of the big pizza and minus the area of the missing piece, well, the hole in the middle, right? And of course, that would leave us with, with the edible portion. So it's for the big pizza, it's 22/7 pi multiplied by the radius. Remember, for the big pizza, it's radius squared minus the small pizza. 22/7 multiplied by 9 squared. Because for the whole, the radius is what? 9. So let us work out both of them. I know this one here, the first piece of calculation, I know this is going to give us 616 because we worked out that in part A or something like that. But for the other part over here, all right, let's see what we get. 22 divided by 7 multiplied by 9 squared. We're going to get 254.57. If we go to 2 decimal places, I know some of you will go to 1, right? But when we minus them now, we're going to get roughly this. 361.43 or something very close to that, centimeters squared, right? So 361 point anything will do. All right. All right. For those who got it wrong, what the rat did is that he took the remaining part of the pizza, and apparently he doesn't like circles, right? So he reshaped it into a rectangle. Now, the examiner is supposed to tell you, right, that the area of the rectangle and the area of the remaining part of the pizza is supposed to be the same. So that just to help you out here a little bit. Oops, sorry about that, guys. Right. So for this pizza, this rectangular pizza, I just want to write something here, right? We have to assume that the area of this rectangular pizza is also 361.43 centimeters squared. Because think about it. If you reshape a slice of pizza, will you get any extra pizza? No, it won't be the same amount of pizza. Think about it. Reshaping a pizza doesn't make you more full. It will be the same amount of pizza. So that means the area of the rectangle and the area of the remaining part of the pizza is the same. So what the examiner is telling you now is that the length of the pizza is 25 centimeters, and we do not know the width. The width, we'll just call it the letter X. So how would you find X? And length by width will give you the area of the rectangle. We know the length is 25. We do not know the width, and the area is 361.43. Do you all think you all can find X? It's just a transposing equation where you throw across the multiply to get what? A divide. So 25, in other words, 25 multiplied by what will give you 361.43? Yes, no. Oh, no. Oh, no, sorry. Guys, somebody corrected me. But here what? Will we, thanks, Bridget. I made a slight error here. We'll work out that one. We'll give me an opportunity to work it out twice. In this question here, part E, and someone did correct me, right? I made the mistake and thought that the rat took the remaining part of the pizza and made a rectangle. From reading that question, did I do the correct thing, people? Or did I make a mistake? He took the piece in the middle, the missing piece, and made the rectangle. But let's work it out this way, and then we'll work it out with the part he stole. Do you all think you all can find X for me? Assuming that the remaining part was transformed into a rectangle. How much is X? The 25 is a multiply, throw it across, you get a divide. So it will look something like this. 25, you throw it across, you get a divide. 361 divided by 25, you're going to get x is what? Roughly 14.46 or something like that. Something close to that. Make sure you're seeing that, centimeters. 14.4, sorry for the bad handwriting there, 46. Right. Right. Now see if you all could do this the correct way now. Remember, the part he stole belonged to the whole. So the area of the stolen part is actually 254.57. Isn't that the area of the whole? That is how much he stole. So in other words, to do the question correctly, the area would actually be what? Oops. No. The area would actually be 254.57. That would be the area of the pizza, of the rectangular slice of pizza. So all you're really doing is replacing the 361.43 with 254.57, and it's still dividing it by 25. And for that one, you'll get 10 point something, correct? 10.18 or 10.19.